Is it officially time to panic with Roman Anthony on the injured list?
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's free. So make sure you continue to tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament ends October 31st, 2025. I will tell you all about that a little bit later on today's show. But first of all, happy Friday. And welcome to the show. Congratulations on making it through another week. Red Sox had an off day yesterday, a very well-deserved off day because they had come off of a stretch of playing 14 games in 14 days. Obviously, that's a tough stretch for any team because pitchers start to get really fatigued. You have to really manage the bullpen strategically. And Alex Cora was getting a lot of heat for using certain guys in certain situations, but he had to make sure that his best arms were rested enough and weren't getting worn out. So instead, we had to see some of the low leverage guys like Jordan Hicks, for example. Going to be discussing him a little bit on today's show, as well as Kyle Harrison, another piece of the Rafael Devers trade. Are we going to see him at some point soon for the Boston Red Sox? But also some unfortunate news that the Red Sox got to a star player on this team. So lots to discuss today. But if you can see a different background than usual, it's because there is one. I am traveling right now, so you don't see all my Red Sox stuff behind me, but I hope you're off to a good start to your Friday. And if you're listening to this on your way home from work, hope you were able to wrap up your week strong at work. So the vibes surrounding this Red Sox team overall as of late have been very high because of the fact that they've been winning a lot of games. I mean, let's just face it, where they're at right now is a lot better of a spot than where they were at this time over the last few seasons. And it's very exciting to think about the growth that we've seen from this Red Sox team compared to what it was the last few years. But unfortunately, with those good vibes comes a little bit of some lows too, especially due to all the injuries that this team has dealt with this year. And really recently, an injury to Roman Anthony, which is a huge damper for this Red Sox team. Standout rookie outfielder, top prospect in baseball before he got called up to the Red Sox this season. He was placed on the injured list on Wednesday with a left oblique strain, and infielder Nick Sogard was called up to take his spot on the active roster. The Red Sox game on Wednesday night was not pretty. They lost 8-1 against Cleveland at home, and Sogard was actually in the lineup. He went 1 for 4 and drove in a run. He also recorded a strikeout. He now has a 242 average on the season with a 315 on base percentage and 318 slugging. He's one of those guys who's been up and been down, back down to AAA, back up to the majors based on need and injuries and where the Red Sox are at. So he's a guy who's kind of been flopped around, and he is back up with the major league team now. And what's a huge bummer about all of this is that there hasn't really been a clear timeline as to when he can return. Such injuries typically take 4 to 6 weeks to heal. So that's what's expected right now. If that's the case for him, then there's a really big chance that he misses the remainder of the regular season and potentially part of the playoffs if the Red Sox even get to the playoffs. So Alex Cora basically was talking about the injury and said it sounds harsh, but we have to move on. And he obviously doesn't mean move on from Roman and hoping for a speedy recovery, but more, it is what it is. We can't control it. We have to keep moving forward and focus on winning baseball games and getting to the playoffs and having that next man up mentality. Roman suffered the injury after striking out in the 7th inning of the Red Sox eventual 11-7 win over the Guardians on Tuesday night. He was slated to undergo an MRI on Wednesday, and he did, and everything was confirmed that it is an oblique strain. So they are expecting the 4 to 6 week recovery timeline. He entered the 2025 season as a top prospect in baseball and ended up making good on his promise on that as he earned his call up to the Red Sox in the 2nd week of June. But since arriving in Boston, he's been an absolute stud. The 21-year-old former 2nd-round pick has slashed a stat line of a .292 batting average, .396 on base percentage, and .463 slugging with 8 home runs, 4 stolen bases, and a WAR of 3.1 in just 71 games in the majors. WAR means wins above replacement. So reminder that essentially means that if you take a replacement level player and put him where Roman Anthony is playing, then the Red Sox would be winning 3 less games than they did with him. So he essentially being there has gotten the Red Sox 3 more wins. And he's only 71 games into his major league career, which is incredibly exciting, but also puts more of a damper on things in terms of the Red Sox chances because his bat in the lineup makes a huge difference. He was hitting leadoff. That's where he feels comfortable. That's where he's always kind of hit throughout his career. And that's where the Red Sox picture him hitting moving forward throughout his career is in that leadoff spot. And him being in that leadoff spot has naturally led to a lot of good things happening to the Red Sox offense. He's been able to get on base early, and it's led to the Red Sox putting immediate pressure on opposing pitchers. So in that regard, it's a huge loss for this Boston Red Sox team. They have a lot of holes that they now need to fill to try to compensate for that lack of production and what they're going to be missing without having Roman here. He's been an essential part of the Red Sox's surge back into contention, and he was an essential part of what has become this race to try to overtake the Blue Jays in the AL East, because as of today, they are 3.5 games back, so really not that far behind. But now the Red Sox will be forced to withstand the loss of a player who arguably could have been the team's most valuable contributor for almost the last 3 months since getting called up, and is very clearly the face of the Boston Red Sox at this point, if not is definitely heading in that direction. So it's very unfortunate because not only do you lose a key player offensively, but you also now lose somebody who could have taken up a big presence in that DH spot. And now the Red Sox have to try to flip guys around and maybe have guys play where they wouldn't necessarily usually play, just to try to make things work from a lineup perspective. We'll probably see a lot more playing time still from Yoshida, who has been kind of switching off in the DH role with Roman, but now that Roman's out, it's primarily going to have to be him. If there's a lefty on the mound, we're going to see Refsnyder in the lineup a lot, which is not abnormal, but he might be getting increased playing time due to this injury, with Willie Abreu still being injured. Now that's another outfielder who's out. So they've tried to compensate by making sure they have speed in the lineup between guys like David Hamilton and Nate Eaton, and then obviously Jarren Duran, who's been in the lineup and is arguably the fastest guy in the sport. So you still have speed in the lineup, which is something that the Red Sox have taken pride in, is the fact that they have guys who can steal bases pretty seamlessly. And that's something that they're going to have to rely on a lot, is their small ball abilities and their ability to steal bases and put pressure on opposing pitchers. And it doesn't mean we give up on this Boston Red Sox team. The season wasn't over when Tristan Casas got injured. The season wasn't over when the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers. And the season certainly shouldn't feel over now that Roman Anthony went down, but certain guys are going to have to step up on offense now even more. Alex Bregman is one of those players that I'm looking at. He's in a bit of a slump right now offensively, but overall this season, he's been one of the Red Sox most consistent hitters. So if he can get out of this slump and get back on track offensively, he's somebody who is going to have to contribute. Trevor Story is going to have to keep up with what he's doing. Nathaniel Lau at first base, big acquisition that the Red Sox picked up after he was previously DFA'd. He's a guy who's going to have to step up a lot more. And you're going to see guys be put to the test. Romy Gonzalez has been contributing a lot. He's going to have to continue that. So guys are going to have to step up even more than they were in order for the Red Sox to feel like they can still make a playoff run. But is this a huge loss for Boston, and does this put a huge damper on things when it comes to their playoff chances? Absolutely, 100%. That's not being denied here at all. But the reality at the end of the day is that this is a resilient Red Sox team, and everybody's on the same page here with the fact that it's that next man up mentality. Everybody's going to have to step up even more. That doesn't even just go for the offense, that goes for the pitchers as well. Every single person having to do their job, but especially from a hitting standpoint, everybody's going to be relied on a lot more to do their job and step up more consistently. And we'll see how they do. By no means am I calling it quits on this season. This Red Sox team still has a lot of talent on it and they can do big things, but Roman was somebody who kind of set the tone and created a great clubhouse vibe in the process. So definitely a big loss, but at least he'll still be around the team to encourage everybody while he's on the IL. And if you hate that Roman's out, I promise you he hates it even more. I've spoken with him plentiful in Worcester before he got called up to the Red Sox, and there's nobody who wants to actually be out there playing more than he does. He hates it. It's driving him insane that he can't be out there with his team. Every day that he misses is the worst day in the world to him. So he will do everything he absolutely can to return in that minimum 4 weeks. The question is just going to be from a health standpoint and where the Red Sox are at. Are they going to want to rush him back, or would they rather let the rehab play out and then after the 6 weeks is up, maybe reevaluate and say, okay, he could come back and DH for us in the playoffs? That would most likely be how they handle it if they do bring him back for the postseason, is that he DHs and plays a lot less in the field to make sure that he doesn't get injured even more, is probably what they would do. So we'll have to see how they handle all of that, but certainly a big blow to the Red Sox. And coming up, a guy who's been struggling as of late for the Red Sox has been placed on the IL. I'm going to be discussing him next. Need a boost to power through the day without reaching for another cup of coffee or an energy drink? That's where Zippix caffeine toothpicks come in. Instead of the crash you get from sugary drinks, Zippix gives you a clean, convenient burst of caffeine, anytime, anywhere. And if you're looking for that nicotine satisfaction, they've got Zippix nicotine toothpicks as well. They're pocket-sized and discreet, so you can actually take them anywhere with you. And the flavors are really good, like peppermint, watermelon, ice, and spearmint. So it's actually not just energy, it also tastes super good too. Ready to try them? Go to zippixtoothpicks.com and use promo code LOCKEDON for 10% off your first order. That's zippixtoothpicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Zippix Toothpicks, energy and focus anytime you need it. The Red Sox had a rough game on Wednesday night, to say the least, against the Cleveland Guardians, where they fell 8-1 at home to fall to 78-63 on the season, which is still very solid, and they are still on track to be able to clinch a playoff spot. That game was not pretty. It was the first game without Roman Anthony since he found out he was getting placed on the IL, but it also was the last of a 14 games in 14 days stretch. So the Red Sox yesterday had a much needed off day, and they now head to the West Coast for some late night baseball. So be ready for that. But it's just been injury after injury for this Red Sox team. Lots of injuries that they've dealt with this year. And the fact that they're still managing to keep themselves relevant and keep themselves in the playoff conversations is impressive enough. But somebody who hasn't been impressive at all in his time with the Boston Red Sox has been pitcher Jordan Hicks, which has been so disappointing because they traded Rafael Devers for him. I mean, he was one of the big pieces in that trade. Kyle Harrison, who I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on the show, was kind of the biggest piece and the guy the Red Sox were hoping would really pan out for them. But there's a reason that San Francisco was interested in letting Jordan Hicks go. The guy lacks a ton of command, and he's been given chance after chance after chance, and he has not been able to make things click. So as a result, he was placed on the IL after his latest implosion on Wednesday night. It could very well be the last time he takes the mound for the Red Sox this year. His ERA platooned to an 8.2, when he allowed 4 earned runs on 4 hits, including a Gabriel Arias homer, while recording just a single out in Wednesday's 8-1 loss against the Guardians. It was a horrific performance by him. That was a bullpen game, and the bullpen game itself just didn't go well. Just not the best idea for the Red Sox, but he just completely imploded again. He'll be placed on the 15-day injured list with a shoulder issue ahead of today's game in Arizona. And left-hander Chris Murphy will join the Red Sox bullpen as a long relief option as the corresponding roster move. So basically the Red Sox kind of made up an injury so that they could put him on the IL and kind of try to fix him again and figure out what the deal is with him and get to the bottom of it. He was required by the Red Sox in June in that Rafael Devers big blockbuster trade, and he has struggled significantly since. He's allowed 20 runs, with 17 of those being earned on 25 hits, while issuing 12 walks, hitting 4 batters, and recording 15 strikeouts in 18 2/3 innings over 21 appearances. I mean, my gosh, like, that is not good. And the biggest thing from all of that, those numbers that I just rattled off, is the 20 runs, 4 hit batsmen, and 12 walks. That all stands out to me a lot because that screams command issues. He is all over the place, and every time he steps foot on the mound, he cannot seem to find the strike zone. The Red Sox envisioned the 28-year-old originally as a late inning complement to Aroldis Chapman, Garrett Whitlock, Justin Slayton, and Justin Wilson when they acquired him. They wanted him to be one of those high leverage options, but so far they have had no choice but to use him in low leverage. On Wednesday night, he took over for opener Brennan Bernardino with 2 outs in the first inning, and he ended up escaping that frame with a strikeout, but allowed 4 straight hits to start the second inning. So it was just an absolute mess for him. And Alex Cora, while he knows Hicks has been struggling, he is still adamant on figuring him out. He said, we've got to figure Hicks out. We need him. That's the bottom line, because we've got Whitlock as a setup man. We need righties in the bullpen to do their job. We trust the ability, but we have to execute. So the whole situation with this is that the Red Sox are never going to say, we messed up, we got the wrong guy, we shouldn't have gotten Hicks, because that would be a terrible look on them to trade a player of Rafael Devers' caliber to get Jordan Hicks in return and then admit defeat basically and say, well, there's nothing we can do. He's not good. We just need to deal with it. That's just not happening. So the Red Sox are going to do everything that they can to try and figure this guy out, because they want this IL stint to end and have them figure out what is going wrong for him that is causing him to not be able to throw the ball in the strike zone consistently, and hope that he can come back stronger rather than still being in the situation of having the same problems as he's been having before. He will be eligible to rejoin the Red Sox by the end of the regular season, which concludes on September 28th. But his struggles do mean that the Red Sox might choose to keep him on the shelf through the end of the year. He's under control for 2 more seasons past this one, earning $12 million in each season. He signed a 4-year, $44 million deal with the Giants before 2024, and the Red Sox took on that whole contract as part of the Devers agreement. So they still owe him all that money, which is part of the reason why they're going to want to figure this out with Hicks. They are adamant on it. They're hoping that with an IL stint that can be figured out. If they do make the playoffs, they definitely won't pitch him in high leverage. That has been eliminated out of the equation. They'll try him again in low leverage and see how he does. And if he still is struggling in the same way he was, they probably just won't have him pitch the rest of the postseason. So they're really hoping that this works and that this IL stint fixes him and they are able to figure something out to where he can pitch more effectively. So Chris Murphy, who rejoined the Red Sox after a long absence due to Tommy John surgery in late June, logged a 3.05 ERA and 20 2/3 relief innings over a 6-week span before being sent back down to the Woo Sox on August 10th. when the team swapped him out for Giovanni Moran. And granted, Chris Murphy overall has been super reliable this year, but he did start to struggle a little bit. So the Red Sox said, okay, let's send him back down to AAA, see if he can figure things out there. In 13 AAA appearances this year, over 21 in the third innings, Murphy owns a 3.38 ERA while striking out 22 batters. He pitched 1 inning in his last outing on Wednesday, but before that was stretched out to 2 or 3 innings and maxed out at 41 pitches. So the Red Sox are hoping that he could be a multi-inning reliever, somebody who could provide a couple innings out of that pen. And that's something that they are hoping can take effect immediately because they have their high leverage guys. Some of those guys I mentioned before in Whitlock, Chapman, Slayton, and Justin Wilson in particular, just to name the primary ones. Those guys primarily are 1 inning guys. You really can't throw Aroldis Chapman more than 1 inning unless he were to go out and record an out in the 8th inning and throw 3 pitches or less than that. Then you could have him pitch the 9th inning as well. But generally, those are your 1 inning relievers. So in order to be successful in the playoffs, you're going to also need guys who can pitch multiple innings in relief. And if Chris Murphy can be one of those guys, that's fantastic because your high leverage guys are going to have to be conserved and be utilized the right way in the postseason. And if you're in a close game late, you're going to want to know that they're available and ready to go. But if the game is kind of a wash, maybe the Red Sox are trailing by a lot or they're winning by a lot and they kind of know that the game is over earlier on in the game, you could bring a guy out of the bullpen in to throw multiple innings and sustain that through the majority of the game. So that way then you're resting those relievers and don't need to use them in a game like that. It's similar to Wednesday night when the Red Sox bullpen just didn't have it and they brought in Zach Kelly and he threw 4 innings. He gave up just 2 hits and no runs and had 4 strikeouts. So he was really good. He threw 63 pitches with 45 of those going for strikes. And he now has a 4.73 ERA on the season. But it's a prime example of the Red Sox saying, okay, this game is likely over. It doesn't really feel like we're going to come back in this, which you never know. But if we don't, at least we know we're not wasting high leverage relievers. We're just making Zach Kelly pitch the bulk of the innings. So if you could get Chris Murphy to be a guy like that who could pitch 2 or 3 innings out of the pen, then you know you're not feeling like you have to waste other relievers. So if you're a guy who can pitch more than 1 inning in relief, you are going to be valuable for this Red Sox team, and that's what they're hoping to get from Murphy. So we'll have to see if he's somebody who can be reliable enough to pitch maybe the 6th and 7th inning, or come in the 5th if the starter is struggling, and then finish the 5th and then pitch the 6th and 7th. That would be ideal. They're looking for guys like that because they can then turn the game to their high leverage guys if it's a close game. So that's what they're hoping to get from him. 100%. Hopefully that happens. We'll have to wait and see. But coming up, speaking of Jordan Hicks and the Rafael Devers trade, Kyle Harrison was another big piece that the Red Sox acquired in that trade. Will we see him with the Major League team soon? That's next. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends, it's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. My husband loves these things because he golfs even in the hottest days, and this helps him survive. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the beverage cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament and ends on October 31st, 2025. If you're a golfer, that sounds like a dream opportunity. And I'm not saying you should do it, but I am kind of saying you should do it because that could be something that you really don't want to miss out on. So I highly recommend you checking that out if you're a golf fan. The Boston Red Sox are heading into crunch time in their season now. This is a crucial time of year, this last month of the regular season. Lots of things are going to be determined with the Red Sox in a tight division race and also in a tight wild card race. They are going to have to win as many games as they can down the stretch here, and it's going to be hard for them to do that with some key injuries that they have now, Roman Anthony being a big one that was just placed on the IL recently, and that's something that could be tough for them. But one area of their roster that has been a pleasant surprise this season has been their pitching as a whole. You've had guys who have been super reliable like Lucas Giolito and Brian Bayo. Obviously, Garrett Crochet goes without saying. His last start was rough, but overall, he has been incredibly reliable and everything you need and want in an ace. So that's been good news. But the Red Sox have relied a lot on calling guys up, partly because of injuries, but also because they believe in their young guys. They recently called up Peyton Tolley, who made his major league debut against the Pirates last weekend, and he looked awesome. He pitched to a dominant stat line, and he is slated to pitch again tonight for the Red Sox. But calling up a rookie, that's something the Red Sox have been doing a lot of this year, between calling up Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, starting Christian Campbell on the Major League roster to start the season, calling up Peyton Tolley. There's been a lot of rookies that the Red Sox have relied on this year. But there's another player that the Red Sox are hoping to rely on sooner rather than later, and that is pitcher Kyle Harrison, who was supposed to be called up to the Red Sox and make his Major League debut in that awful Wednesday night game in which the Red Sox just weren't even competitive in it. They ended up having Brennan Bernardino be the opener in that game, but the Red Sox, again, were hoping that it would be Kyle Harrison, but he didn't end up getting his call up because he had to undergo an MRI on his ankle that day, and ultimately the team decided not to make the call to promote him. And essentially, he was planning to go up to the team on Tuesday. He threw on the field at Polar Park prior to packing his bags to head up to Boston. He had been dealing with a left ankle injury that the team was keeping an eye on that had popped up over the past week. So the 24-year-old was scheduled to take an MRI Tuesday in Boston before possibly making a spot start for the Red Sox the next day. And he was packing his bags on Tuesday. So all the hype was, okay, Kyle Harrison's getting called up. But basically, he said that's not a good sign if I'm scheduled to start Wednesday for the Red Sox. I want to be right when that's my turn. I think that's the way the Red Sox viewed it too, which absolutely 100%. If he wasn't fully healthy, they want to make sure that he is when he does make his debut for the team. And he said results from the MRI came back clean and structurally everything was sound with the left ankle, but there was some inflammation. Boston ultimately decided to hold back on calling Harrison up to the big leagues. So he said, it's unfortunate. I'm disappointed that I couldn't be out there, but at the same time, I got to be right. It's the best thing for the team, and they're looking out for me, and I just really appreciate that. I just feel like I let some people down, but I can't look at it that way. You know, I got to get myself right first, and then I'll worry about helping the team. He'll get his shot in the majors at some point very soon. He's been pitching well in AAA Worcester. It's just a matter of it being the right time and him being 100% healthy, because the last thing you want to do is force somebody to get called up and make a start for the team and have them not be fully healthy for it and then have it impact them longer term. So there's a couple things that they can do here. Kyle Harrison has a 1.17 ERA in the 11 games that he started for the Woo Sox. He hasn't been pitching a lot of innings, so that's something to keep in mind. But this still does represent a new chapter for the Red Sox when he does eventually get called up, because of the fact that Peyton Tolley is also most likely going to be part of the rotation long term. But if the Red Sox were to let Kyle Harrison make his debut in the near future, they have a couple options. They could do a 6-man rotation, giving Peyton Tolley some extra time off, given that he hasn't pitched more than 90 pitches in a game this year, because you'd have Garrett Crochet, Brian Bayo, Lucas Giolito, Peyton Tolley, Kyle Harrison, and Dustin May as your 6 starters. So then everybody gets an extra day off, which somebody like Dustin May for sure could also really benefit from. So the Red Sox could take that path. Or what they could do is they could decide, okay, we're going to keep Dustin May in the bullpen, which they did say that for this week. He's pitching in the pen. He came in out of the pen on Wednesday night for the Red Sox. And they basically just said because they want him to get extra rest, but I feel like it's more because he had been struggling in the rotation. So the Red Sox said, okay, Dustin May is going to pitch in the bullpen for now. They could decide, hey, we're going to keep him in the pen. We're confident with the 5 we have without him in the rotation. And those 5 would be with Harrison and Tolley added to the other 3 who have had a really successful season so far in the rotation in Crochet, Giolito, and Bayo. So there's a big possibility that happens too, but there's 2 routes that they can take. So moving forward from here, the Red Sox are going to continue to monitor this situation with Kyle Harrison, make sure he's 100% healthy, and they are excited and ready to call him up. It just needs to be the right time. So when he does, it will be interesting to see what they do in terms of the rotation versus the bullpen and who pitches where, and see how he does in his debut. I've covered him pretty extensively in Worcester as well, and he definitely has a really solid fastball that plays, but he was working on expanding that arsenal a bit, developing a couple other pitches, including a solid put away pitch, and working on his command, because command was something that he has struggled with in Worcester. So that's something to keep in mind when he does get called up to make his debut with the Red Sox. But he's so nice, so hardworking, and just wants to be out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get that chance at some point soon. So lots of things to wonder about here moving forward. Question marks, how the team's going to adapt to these key injuries and players not performing to the level they need them to. What kind of moves are the Red Sox going to make to compensate for that? So we'll have to see what happens moving forward with this team, but I do appreciate you tuning in to Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of every single day. It's also another big moment on Locked On. If you're a college football fan, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. You definitely will not want to miss that. You can catch it right after you tune into Locked On Red Sox if it's Thursday. So make sure that you tune into that show. You will not want to miss it all throughout football season. And like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.